In a distant galaxy, the Galactic Council ruled with an iron fist. This powerful group controlled many planets and made laws that everyone had to follow. Many feared them, for the Council was known for being cruel to those who dared to oppose their commands. Their soldiers, dressed in dark uniforms, patrolled the streets, keeping a watchful eye on everyone. It was a world where hope was dim and fear ruled hearts. On a small, bright planet called Lyria, there lived a human family. The father, James, was a hard-working farmer. He spent long days tending to his crops, hoping to provide a better life for his children. His wife, Sarah, was a caring mother, teaching their two kids, Lily and Max, about the world. Lily, who was 10 years old, loved to paint the beautiful landscapes around them, while 8-year-old Max dreamed of becoming a great explorer, traveling to distant stars. One evening, as the sun set, casting a warm orange glow across the fields, the family gathered for dinner. Laughter filled the air as they shared stories about their day. James and Sarah smiled at their children, grateful for their simple life. But this peaceful moment was shattered when an announcement blared from the town square's loudspeakers. "Attention, citizens! The Galactic Council has declared new laws to maintain order. Effective immediately, any sign of rebellion will be punished severely." The voice echoed through the streets, sending chills down the spine of every listener. James exchanged worried glances with Sarah. They had heard whispers about the Council's increasing brutality, but they never imagined it would come to this. "What do you think it means, Dad?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with fear. James took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we must stay strong. We'll protect each other no matter what." But the dread in Sarah's eyes told him that their lives were about to change forever. The next morning, the Council made an even more shocking announcement. In order to teach the colonies a lesson, the Council will sacrifice millions of children. This is to ensure our control and maintain order in the galaxy. The words struck like lightning. James felt his heart race, and Sarah covered her mouth in shock. Max, oblivious to the full meaning, asked, "What does sacrifice mean, Mommy?" Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she struggled to explain. It means they will take away children and hurt them." "It's very bad, Max." Lily clenched her fists, her innocent spirit ignited with anger. "We can't let this happen! We have to do something!" James nodded, his mind racing. He knew they had to act. That night, the family gathered in their small living room, candles flickering, casting shadows on the walls. "We need to find others who feel the same way," James said, determination in his voice. "If we can unite, we might have a chance to save the children." Sarah wiped her tears and nodded. "We cannot let fear control us. Our children deserve to be safe." In the days that followed, whispers of rebellion spread throughout Lyria. The family met with other parents in secret, sharing their fears and dreams. They formed a group determined to resist the Council's cruel orders. They talked about their children's futures, their laughter, and the joy they brought into their lives. As they gathered, James felt a spark of hope. The courage of the parents inspired him, and together they began to plan. They decided to rescue the children from the Council's clutches, to fight against the evil that threatened their lives. But the Council was not blind to the growing discontent. They ramped up their patrols and threats, warning that anyone caught opposing them would face severe punishment. Fear lingered in the air, but the desire for freedom burned brighter in the hearts of the parents. Lily and Max played together, unaware of the danger surrounding them. They laughed and dreamed of adventures while their parents plotted to keep them safe. Little did they know, a storm was coming, one that would change everything. In this dark time, hope flickered like a candle in the wind. The family's love and courage ignited a fire within their community, a fire that could challenge the Galactic Council's brutality. Together, they would fight for a future where laughter echoed, and no child would have to fear the shadows. As the days passed, the fear in Lyria turned into determination. James, Sarah, and the other parents formed a secret group called the Guardians of Hope. They met in a hidden cave outside the village, away from the watchful eyes of the Galactic Council. The cave was dark, but the air buzzed with energy and purpose. James stood at the front of the group, his voice steady. "We all know why we're here. The Council wants to take our children, and we cannot let that happen. We must fight for them!" Nods and murmurs of agreement filled the cave. Parents looked at each other, their faces set with resolve. They shared stories of their children, the dreams they had for them, and the laughter they brought into their lives. Each story fueled their determination. "We need a plan," Sarah said, stepping forward. "We can't just wait for the council to come for us. We need to act first." The group discussed different ideas, brainstorming ways to rescue the children from the council's stronghold. They talked about the location of the detention centers where the council kept the captured children. One parent, a former soldier named Marcus, spoke up. "I know the area well. I can lead a small team to scout the detention center. We'll find out how many children are there and how we can get them out." Excitement filled the air as others offered to join the mission. They would create a diversion to distract the guards while Marcus and his team sneaked in. The plan was risky, but everyone knew it was their only chance. Meanwhile, Lily and Max remained blissfully unaware of the danger surrounding them. They played outside, climbing trees and exploring the beautiful landscape of Lyria. Their laughter echoed through the fields, a sound that reminded the parents of what they were fighting for. On the day of the mission, the Guardians of Hope gathered before dawn, their hearts pounding with both fear and excitement. They knew they were taking a huge risk, but the thought of their children kept them going. James hugged Lily and Max tightly before leaving. "Remember, no matter what happens, we love you both," he whispered, trying to hold back tears. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden light over the fields, the group set out towards the detention center. They moved quietly, sticking to the shadows, their hearts racing. When they arrived, they could see the tall fence surrounding the facility. Guards patrolled the area, their eyes scanning for any signs of trouble. Marcus led his team to a hidden spot where they could observe the guards without being seen. "There are more children inside than I expected," he whispered. "We need to act fast." The distraction plan was set in motion. A group of parents began to create noise on the other side of the facility, throwing rocks and shouting. The guards rushed to investigate, leaving the entrance lightly guarded. "Now's our chance," Marcus urged. He and his team dashed towards the entrance, hearts pounding in their chests. As they reached the door, they quickly picked the lock, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Inside, they were met with the sight of scared and confused children, some in tears. The sight broke their hearts. "We're here to save you," Marcus called, trying to reassure them. "Stay quiet and follow us." The team quickly gathered the children, counting heads to ensure no one was left behind. As they turned to leave, they heard footsteps approaching. The guards had returned, and they were not happy. "Stop right there!" one of the guards shouted, raising his weapon. Panic erupted, but Marcus kept his cool. "Run!" he yelled. The children sprinted towards the exit, guided by the guardians. The team pushed forward, determined to escape with the kids. Just as they reached the door, a loud alarm blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed and chaos erupted. The guards began to chase them, but the guardians held their ground, ready to protect the children at all costs. "Get to the trees!" Sarah shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. The group dashed outside, racing towards the forest that surrounded the detention center. They could hear the shouts of the guards behind them, but the promise of freedom pushed them forward. As they ran, James glanced back at the children following closely behind, their faces filled with both fear and hope. They were almost there. With every step, they were moving closer to safety, but they knew the fight was far from over. Once they reached the safety of the trees, the group paused to catch their breath. They had saved a handful of children, but the war against the council was just beginning. As they looked at the faces of the rescued kids, they knew they had ignited a spark of hope that would fuel their fight against the tyranny of the Galactic Council. The sun shone brightly over the forest as James and the Guardians of Hope led the rescued children deeper into the trees. They found a safe clearing, where the sounds of the Galactic Council's alarms faded into the distance. The rescued kids huddled together, shivering and scared but grateful to be free. As they settled in, the Guardians quickly assessed the situation. "We need to keep these children safe," Sarah said, her voice steady. "We can't let the Council find them again." James nodded. "We should head back to the cave. It's hidden and secure. We can plan our next steps there." The group agreed, and they carefully made their way back, ensuring they weren't followed. Once inside the cave, the atmosphere changed. Laughter echoed as the children began to relax, finally free from fear. Lily and Max helped to comfort their new friends, sharing snacks and stories to lift their spirits. It was a small moment of joy amid the chaos, reminding everyone of what they were fighting for. As night fell, the Guardians gathered to discuss their next move. Marcus, the former soldier, stood up. "We can't fight the Council alone. We need allies. There are other planets suffering under their rule. If we unite forces, we can become stronger." James agreed, his mind racing with possibilities. "We should reach out to the leaders of these planets. If they see we're serious, they may join us." The group began to brainstorm ways to send messages to other planets. They knew communication would be risky, but it was necessary. "I know a safe route to the next planet," Marcus offered. "It's called Natrix. Their people have also suffered under the Council's tyranny. They might be willing to help us." After discussing their options, they decided Marcus would lead a small team to Natrix to seek help. The rest would stay behind to protect the children and strengthen their base. James volunteered to go with Marcus. "I can't let you go alone. We need to show them we are serious." The next day, as dawn broke, Marcus, James, and a few others prepared to leave. The group hugged their children tightly, promising to return soon. "Stay strong," James told Lily and Max, looking into their bright eyes. "We'll be back with more help." As the team set off, the journey to Natrix was filled with uncertainty. They moved quickly through the forest, always aware of the danger lurking behind them. Every rustle of leaves made their hearts race. But they pressed on, driven by hope and the promise of support. When they finally reached the border of Natrix, the landscape changed dramatically. Lush greenery surrounded them, and they could see the towering structures of the Natrixian cities in the distance. But they also noticed the heavy presence of Council soldiers patrolling the area. The Council had a strong hold here as well. As they approached the city, James felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Remember, we're here to show them they're not alone," he whispered to Marcus and the others. They entered the city, their hearts pounding with each step. The streets were filled with Natrixians, their faces showing signs of worry and fear. The Council's grip on the planet was evident. The team moved cautiously, searching for someone who could help them. After some time, they found a small gathering of Natrixian leaders in a public square. Marcus approached them boldly. "We come from Lyria. We have a message of hope. The Galactic Council is oppressing our people, and we want to unite forces to fight back." The leaders listened closely, some skeptical, but others intrigued. "How can we trust you?" one of them asked. "The Council has eyes everywhere." James stepped forward, his voice filled with conviction. "Because we know what it's like to live in fear. We have fought for our children and our freedom. Together we can stand against them. Together we can reclaim our worlds." The leaders whispered among themselves, considering the weight of James's words. After a tense moment, one of the leaders stepped forward, her eyes fierce. "We will join you. The Council has taken enough from us. It is time to fight back." Cheers erupted from the small group as hope blossomed. They began to discuss plans for a united front against the Council, sharing their resources and strategies. News of the Guardians of Hope spread quickly, and other planets began to take notice. Back in the cave, Sarah and the remaining Guardians kept the children safe, sharing stories of bravery and resilience. They knew that James and Marcus were out there, uniting forces for a cause greater than themselves. Days passed, and the bonds between the planets grew stronger. The Guardians of Hope became a symbol of resistance, and whispers of their bravery traveled far and wide. With each passing moment, they drew closer to the fight for freedom, ready to face the Galactic Council together. In that dark time, hope shone brightly. The Guardians had taken a crucial step towards building an army, and they were ready to rise against the brutality of the Galactic Council. Together, they would fight for their children and the future they dreamed of, one filled with laughter, joy, and freedom. The sun rose over Lyria, casting a golden glow on the landscape. But there was no time to admire the beauty. The Guardians of Hope, along with their new allies from Natrix, were preparing for the biggest fight of their lives. The Galactic Council had learned of their plans, and they were coming to crush the rebellion. In the cave, the atmosphere was tense. James, Sarah, Marcus, and the leaders from Natrix gathered around a large table covered in maps and plans. "We have to strike first," Marcus said, his finger pointing to the location of the Council's base. "If we can take them by surprise, we stand a better chance." Sarah nodded, her determination shining through. "We need to protect the children. They are our future, and we cannot let them suffer any longer." The leaders of Natrix agreed, their faces set with purpose. As the group finalized their strategy, the children played in the background, unaware of the danger surrounding them. James watched them, his heart heavy. They were fighting for their freedom, but he couldn't shake the worry for their safety. The day of the battle arrived. The combined forces of Lyria and Natrix gathered in a vast field outside the Council's base. The soldiers were ready, armed with makeshift weapons and a fierce determination. The Guardians of Hope stood at the front, united in their cause. As they took their positions, James looked around at the faces of his friends and allies. "Remember why we're here. We are fighting for our children and our homes. We cannot let fear control us any longer." A roar of agreement echoed through the ranks, igniting the fire of rebellion within each soldier. Suddenly, the sound of engines roared through the sky. Council ships descended, darkening the sun as they approached. The Guardians gripped their weapons tightly, ready for the confrontation. "Here they come!" Marcus shouted, signaling everyone to prepare. The tension in the air was thick as the Council's ships landed, releasing a wave of soldiers clad in intimidating armor. The two forces clashed in a storm of chaos. The Guardians fought bravely, shouting for their loved ones as they charged forward. The Natrixians moved with fierce precision, their training evident as they fought alongside their new friends. James fought with all his strength, pushing back against the Council soldiers. He spotted a group of children watching from a nearby hill, their faces pale with fear. "Stay behind the trees!" he yelled, his heart racing. The children nodded, huddling together for safety. The battle raged on, filled with the sounds of clashing weapons and shouts of bravery. Sarah fought beside him, her eyes blazing with determination. They moved as a team, supporting each other as they faced the onslaught of the Council. Amid the chaos, Marcus spotted the Council commander, a ruthless figure directing the troops. "We need to take him down!" he shouted. The group rallied around him, pushing towards the commander. As they fought their way through the throngs of soldiers, James felt a surge of adrenaline. They were close. The commander noticed them, a look of anger flashing across his face. "You think you can defeat us? You are nothing!" he roared, raising his weapon. But the Guardians did not back down. "We are everything!" Sarah shouted, launching herself forward with all her might. The two clashed in a fierce duel, sparks flying as their weapons met. The battle continued to escalate, with both sides refusing to give in. The Guardians were fueled by their love for their children and their hope for a better future. The Council soldiers, however, were fueled by fear and cruelty, but they began to waver as the Guardians fought with relentless courage. In a moment of chaos, James found an opening. He rushed toward the commander, dodging blows from the surrounding soldiers. With a swift movement, he lunged forward and struck the commander's weapon aside, sending it clattering to the ground. "You may be powerful, but we are united," James shouted. He and Marcus joined forces, and together they pushed the commander back. The tide of the battle began to turn as their allies fought fiercely alongside them. Finally, with a powerful strike, Sarah disarmed the commander, sending him crashing to the ground. The Guardians stood over him, their weapons poised, ready to deliver the final blow. "You will no longer hurt our children," James declared, his voice strong. In that moment, the Council soldiers, seeing their commander defeated and their morale shattered, began to retreat. The Guardians roared in victory, their spirits soaring as they realized they had won the battle. As the dust settled, the soldiers of Lyria and Natrix cheered together, united in their triumph. The children emerged from their hiding spots, their faces filled with hope and joy. "We did it!" Lily shouted, running to her father. James scooped her up, tears of relief streaming down his face. "We fought for you," he whispered, holding her tightly, "and we will always fight for you." In that moment, hope blossomed in their hearts. They had taken a significant step towards freedom, and together they would continue to fight against the tyranny of the Galactic Council. The Guardians of Hope had proven their strength, and now they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the battlefield where the Guardians of Hope stood victorious. The echoes of the fierce fight still lingered in the air, but now a sense of peace replaced the chaos. James looked around at his friends and allies, their faces tired but filled with relief and joy. They had won, but the real work was just beginning. As the last of the Council soldiers retreated, the Guardians gathered together, forming a circle.
"We did it!"
Sarah shouted, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "We fought for our children, and we have shown the Galactic Council that we will not be silenced." James nodded, a proud smile on his face. "This victory is just the beginning. We need to build a future where our children can grow up safe and happy, free from fear." The group murmured in agreement, their spirits lifting with hope. With the battle won, the Guardians returned to their home base, the cave that had become a symbol of their fight. Inside, they found the children waiting for them, their faces bright with excitement. Lily ran to her father, throwing her arms around him. "Daddy, you did it! You won!" James hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her love. "We all did it, sweetheart. We fought for each other." As the children celebrated, the leaders from Natrix and Lyria gathered to discuss their next steps. "We need to establish a safe place for everyone," one of the Natrixian leaders said, his expression serious. "The Council will not give up easily. They will come back for us." Sarah took a deep breath. "We can create a sanctuary, a place where everyone is welcome and safe regardless of where they come from." The idea sparked excitement among the group. They began to discuss locations, resources, and how they could build this new community together. Days passed, and the Guardians worked tirelessly. They combined their skills, using knowledge from both Lyria and Natrix, to create a safe haven. They gathered materials, built shelters, and set up farms to provide food for everyone. Children played in the fields, laughter filling the air, while adults worked side by side, sharing stories and hope. As the sanctuary took shape, word began to spread across the galaxy. Messages of their victory and the new community reached other planets suffering under the Council's rule. People started to join them, seeking refuge from the tyranny they had faced. With each new arrival, the sanctuary grew stronger. James watched as the new community flourished. Families from different planets worked together, sharing their traditions and cultures. The once divided beings were now united, bonded by their shared experiences and the desire for a better life. The children laughed and played, free to be themselves without fear. One evening, as the sun set, James gathered everyone for a celebration. "Today we honor our new beginning. We have created a sanctuary for our children and ourselves," he announced, his voice filled with pride. The crowd cheered, their spirits high as they celebrated their hard work and victories. As night fell, the Guardians lit bonfires, and the warmth of the flames danced in their eyes. Music filled the air, and everyone joined in singing songs of hope and unity. The celebration brought them closer together, reminding them of the strength they had found in each other. Amid the festivities, Marcus stood beside James. "I never thought we would come this far," he said, smiling. "We have built something truly special here." James nodded, looking around at the joyful faces. "This is just the beginning. We need to stay vigilant and protect what we have built. The Galactic Council will not give up easily." Marcus agreed, his expression serious. "We must also prepare for the future. We can't just wait for them to strike. We need to train and be ready to defend our sanctuary." The next day, the Guardians began to train. They taught each other new skills, from self-defense to survival techniques. Children learned to work together, while adults shared their knowledge of strategies and combat. The sanctuary became a hub of learning and growth, where everyone contributed to their shared safety. As weeks turned into months, the community thrived. The Guardians of Hope transformed into protectors of their sanctuary, ensuring that it remained a place of peace and refuge. They shared their stories with others, inspiring hope in those who had lost everything. James stood on a hill overlooking their sanctuary, filled with gratitude. "We have built a new life," he said to Sarah, who stood beside him. "This is our home now, and we will fight to protect it." Sarah smiled, taking his hand. "Together, we will face whatever comes our way, for our children, for our future." With a new sense of purpose, the Guardians of Hope stood ready. They had turned their pain into strength, their fear into courage. The Galactic Council may have sought to crush them, but they had risen from the ashes, stronger than ever. And together, they would ensure that their children would grow up in a world filled with hope, love, and freedom. This was their new beginning, and they were ready to embrace it fully.